This interview is for information only and should not be considered as investment advice or a recommendation to buy shares in the company featured. Welcome to this Stock Box interview. Well, hello and welcome to the Research Talks here on Stockbox with Alan Green. Alan, it's good to be talking to you again on what is a very miserable Saturday for me anyway, very overcast and drizzly. What's it like in the UK?
It's very similar, Mark. It's overcast here in Seaford, looking out, the rain's lashing the window, and I think that the forecast is for it to be like this morning and hopefully clearing up this afternoon. So
Okay.
may get some sunshine, may be able to get out and about this afternoon, but pretty miserable day at the moment.
Yeah, pretty miserable day. Certainly after a long, busy week for me anyway. Us at Stockbox have been pretty busy. I know you did a couple of interviews for us as well, Alan, helping us out with some of the workload. It's good to have lots of people coming on and talking despite the sort of malaise in the markets, but I think we can start to see a bit more confidence coming back. Of course, we've got Minds and Money, or Resourcing Tomorrow, as it's known, Resourcing Tomorrow by Minds and Money on the week after next. I know we're both going to be there. Set to be, hopefully we get a good sense of the vibe of the mining sector, because I know we're both quite heavy in that sector, and we'll see what might be to come or not in the mining sector. But it'd be good to catch up anyway and talk to lots of other companies in that space. And I know you're going to one-to-one as well, which is also a lot of people are flying into the UK to do that as well. So
I think
we should get a good sense of what's going on.
Yeah, that's a very good show, actually, one-to-one, where you get to meet the chief execs there personally, and I'm there as PR, and I are, of course, for Cadence Minerals. We've been working with Kieran and the guys there for some time, and I know they're very enthused by developments at Mappa at the moment, it seems to be at a pivotal stage in its development. So
it definitely does. Moving on, actually, it's good to see Cadence Minerals doing that and securing. Well, we talked about it the other week, didn't we, on what they'd secured with the deal they'd done there to actually fund the construction when they've got the all the plans in place. So yeah, looking forward to seeing how they go, and hopefully maybe we can go and visit them at some point when there's some activities going on. But today we're talking about one mining company, ECR Minerals, which of course has had the recent big management change with Doc Holiday there, or AKA a Mike. I noticed a nice little video the company had put out the other day, and I think I commented it's very different, had a kind of a sort of a retro sort of look to it. I thought it was quite nice, sort of it kind of inspired me a bit for the future potential of ECR. But I'm sure you'll bring us all up to speed on ECR and what's going on. And ONDO, InsurTech, of course, which had a good a bit of announcement the other day on a big contract win in the United States. So which one are you taking first, Alan?
Well, let's start with ONDO,
Sure.
Mark. And indeed, this company that was, of course, founded by Craig Foster, formerly worked with Procter & Gamble, and then, of course, HomeServe Insurance. And HomeServe, I think, probably have delivered in the past some of the most intensive direct mail campaigns that I've ever seen, because I know they keep on dropping through our door every day. And indeed, we did sign up with them for a couple of years. But of course, while Greg was working at HomeServe, he developed the LeakBot device from HomeServe Labs, and Greg was named in the Insurance Times magazine as Tech Champion of the Year on the back of what he'd invented. And of course, from then, in March last year, the cash shell Spinnaker acquisitions reversed into LeakBot and became ONDO InsurTech, the company that we know today. ONDO, of course, being Japanese for temperature change. So LeakBot is an Internet of Things based claim prevention system that the company claimed when it first came to market that it can reduce the cost of water damage claims by 70%. And it is claim prevention technology that simply connects to home Wi-Fi and notifies the customer via a LeakBot app, and then contacts the engineer to find and fix the problem. So it's a really, as often is the case, it's the simple solutions that really are the most effective. And I think, when we spoke about this last year, Mark, there was a great deal of excitement about the potential. But of course, you've got all the hype when the device and the company comes to market. You then have to deliver, and you've got to get the big insurance companies that generate the big revenues looking at your product and then backing you. And that certainly happened. I mean, we've now got a company that's worth £24 million. Of course, we saw a nice blip up in the share price this week on the back of the latest announcement. But the company's really laid a lot of foundations in terms of developing relationships. So going back to last year, over a year ago, they signed clients including Admiral Insurance, Hiscox, of course, they renewed. Portsmouth Water, they set up a trial with, and they rolled out in Denmark with Top Denmark, the Danish insurance giant, set up a rollout with Sweden's largest non-life insurer, Landsforsikring, and indeed back in July this year, the company announced that it has signed a new 5-year contract to further support the rollout of LeakBot across Sweden. So I think people can see, looking at ONDO, it's a really simple investment proposition. You're investing into a company that is partnering with the insurance giants around the globe to use the LeakBot app and the LeakBot device to help drive down the cost of insurance claims. And it's a really simple slam dunk, no brainer of an investment proposition. We then saw April this year. That was quite a pivotal step forward for the company that's been looking to get into the USA. It struck a partnership with WNS Holdings, listed on the New York Stock Exchange as WNS, and WNS runs claims operations for multiple household name insurers across the US, and of course Europe's got a market capitalization of $4 billion. And Craig Foster said at that point it was a really significant milestone for the company. So at that point, we bought WNS Holdings in, also Mapfre, Top Denmark, as I said, and Direct Line and Admiral. And then the company announced that interims to August 31st, that the revenues have jumped 55% to 1 million, with 0.4 million or 400,000 recurring revenues. And that, of course, is key to building a business like this. So you sign the deal with the insurance company, and then they come back like Landsforsikring just have and say, yep, this works well. We're going to expand the contract. We're going to roll this out further. And then, of course, June, Portsmouth Water, they'd run a trial with LeakBot. They came back. They established that leaks had reduced by 60%. So that was a huge step forward. And August this year, of course, Southern Water, they ONDO struck a deal with Southern Water to run a trial out. Southern Water delivers water to 2.5 million homes, and from estimates based on the success of the Portsmouth water trial, it's believed that Southwest Water could save up to 83 megalitres of water per day, and that's the equivalent of 32 Olympic-sized swimming pools per day. Now, living in the South myself, I'm fully aware of the problems Southern Water have faced, not least the discharges of sewage into the sea and all the rest of it. So, of course, any saving like this is going to be key in consumption. Any saving in water consumption is going to be key to helping Southern Water improve its infrastructure, and of course save money in the long term, which is what the aim of the exercise is. Also in July this year, the company struck a deal with UK independent water efficiency body Waterwise. They've appointed ONDO as an affiliate partner, and Waterwise actually said that leaky toilets actually form a huge part of the UK wastewater problems, and it sees LeakBot as a truly scalable solution. So the picture is building. What we're seeing here is a company that clearly has an asset in LeakBot that all of the insurance companies, without exception, are looking at and seeing, well, if we take this on, we're going to start saving money straight away. And, insurance companies are some of the wealthiest bodies in the world, but, insurance being what they are, they like to save money. So any opportunity to save money for them is an absolute slam dunk. And then, of course, we have the announcement from this week, which caused the share price, which had been drifting back from the August highs of 37.5p. The share price drifted back to just on 20p and then blipped straight back up to 30p this week. The company announced further expansion into the USA, a partnership with Fortune 100 insurance company nationwide based in Ohio to roll out LeakBot as part of its or was part of Nationwide's smart home program. So with the first state launch of the rollout is going to be in early 2024. And as that rollout takes place, then we're going to really start to see ONDO as a company scale up in size. And of course, we were saying before we came on air, Mark, that ONDO are about to announce interim results. So I think we've seen the blip up in share price this week, which is good. But with all these announcements, with announcements, and with all this good news, I think investors want to see tangible progress on the balance sheet now. So they're going to be looking for an increase in revenue. They're going to be looking for increase in profitability, because of course, when you've got a product like this, as you scale up the manufacturing process, you start to generate economies of scale because you're buying more components from the same manufacturer. You can get the cost per component down. So there are opportunities to really scale up the profitability for ONDO. And then, of course, there may be other products they're developing alongside it as well. But either way, I think this is a really exciting British technology company headed up by the chief exec and the founder, who's very invested into the business himself. Just a word about the chairman, of course, Mark Wood, formerly of Barclays, Prudential, AXA, and founded Paternos himself. So very much an insurance and banking and finance man. So has the connections to help further open doors for ONDO going forward. So, as I say, just a summary: the company's currently worth 24 million quid. Market, so you could say it's a fairly racy market capitalization on the one hand, but on the other hand, I think if we see a big jump in turnover this year, then that racy valuation is going to be fully justified, and we could well see the company push on to further highs once these results are out of the market.
Indeed, 24 million. There's still a long way, I think, for ONDO to go, particularly as they start to crack that US market. You can basically tear up all the valuations that London puts on things when the Americans get hold of it. And I don't know if they're going to go for a dual listing. It might be on the cards, but for sure, they are making headway into that North American market, and they've only just started. I mean, I think that Nationwide deal was 2 years in the making. It takes a while to get these things across the line, but that's a real big tick in the box there for ONDO. And hopefully that leads on to a full rollout. I mean, Craig was saying to me that one of the bigger things that it's not a problem, but it's actually a good thing, but it slows things down, is that the companies actually really want to integrate the technology and the API into their systems. So Lanza Shafrangard, for example, want to integrate into their app, so that basically, it's only one app for the consumer. They use the Lanza Shafrangard app and everything's in there. They can monitor their LeakBot through there. That takes time. However, companies are not going to do that unless they're serious here about the future use, let's say, of the product throughout the whole network, because that's really building some solid foundations there. And a similar thing is happening over with Nationwide. Craig said that the reason it took a while to announce it is because a lot of the back end stuff had to be kind of wheels turning before they can actually, sort of make an announcement regarding it. So I think this is only the start of what is a very quite exciting growth story with ONDO InsurTech. And all credit to Craig for making that jump. If you listen to his podcast he did with us, he had the decision to make. His boss said, at home, sir, if you're going to do this, you've got to do it. You've got to stop what you're doing and you've got to do it, and there'll be some money for it, but you've got to take it on. and not been an easy journey, but it's just at the start of reaping those rewards, I feel. So yeah, very excited about that. And the other thing I really liked, I interviewed Craig when he was the at the Las Vegas conference. Again, trying to make waves into the United States there, and one of the big things about Nationwide is they were a big early adopter of another device called Ting, which is the same thing but for electricity. So it detects electrical arcs in the home by just plugging into a free socket, and they've really rolled that out and prevented electrical faults and fires for their customers. So this company are really into innovative tech. And the fact that they've signed up with ONDO, as I say, it's validation of the product, but also what a great company to be getting started with in the United States there. So yeah, I would say it's a very good company to look for that growth story, and
It
it's
is.
only just on that journey.
Yeah, and I think as well, the point you made just now, Mark, about these insurance companies are integrating LeakBot's technology and, of course, the app into their own apps. That's a tremendous amount of investment into embedding that product into their offering. So, once you have a product that's embedded into an offer like that, it's very difficult to undo that. So that really I mentioned the recurring revenues, which is a key part of growing any business. So I think that will be a key factor, going forward for the company. The recurring revenues, you can see the company grow and just really become a cash cow.
Yeah,
I mean, the water damage market alone is the single biggest cause of home insurance claims, and it costs insurance companies $17 billion every year. So with this, you've got there's a real opportunity. If LeakBot were adopted by every single insurance company in the world, given the results there that are well documented with Portsmouth Water and others, you could halve that, or maybe cut it by 60%. That's a huge saving, and I've no doubt, you've got some insurance companies. So the company announced an insurance company, for example, with US-based Pure Insurance. It's the most awarded insurance in the USA, and it does what's right for policyholders. And I think we're going to see, these changes move across the insurance market, working for insurance policyholders rather than for the company themselves. When you're embedded with companies like this, that's going to be key going forward. And these sort of savings with companies like Pure are going to get passed on to us, the policyholders. So that's a really important factor too.
Indeed, indeed. Well, thank you for that, Alan. So let's talk about ECR Minerals then. Bring us up to speed on what's going on with ECR.
Well, as listeners will know, I have been working with ECR for many years, and it's an exciting company, and equally shareholders in ECR, I'm a shareholder as well, will know that that the company's endured a really, really tough couple of years. And of course, tragically, we lost Craig Brown back in 2021, over 2 years ago now. Where has the time gone? But the company, nonetheless, is a solid company with a great management team in place now, and a great asset base. The company is now worth just 3.3 million quid, which is daft, when you consider the market capitalization a couple of years ago, when the projects they're operating were far less advanced and they had far less knowledge about the projects than they do today. So it's indicative of where the small cap or where the market of junior explorers is at the moment. But we are seeing some green shoots coming through. We said at the start, of course, that we're seeing some a return of interest to the marketplace. We've got these two shows coming up. We Are One-to-One, One-to-One We Are Mining next week, and then the Big Minds of Money Resourcing tomorrow, the week after. And I think we'll get a real feel from that, just what the appetite is like for junior resource companies. Certainly ECR has a great portfolio of assets, but I think it's important to look at what's been done in the past, and also look at the management changes and the fundraise that took place recently, because that's been a key and pivotal part of the process. So after Craig died, the company appointed Andrew Haythorpe as chief executive, and Andrew has a great deal of knowledge of the Queensland area. He went to university up in North Queensland there, so he bought a project called Hurricane in. It was decided by the new management team that Hurricane was offered to the company on terms that didn't really reflect the current market and didn't really offer good value for money. So that, of course, was terminated. But through the work the company had done, and I say the company, this is primarily the head geologist and technical director, Adam Jones, and his field team. They got on the ground there. They established a number of geological anomalies and also established where these anomalies ran. And it came to the attention of the company that there was a license adjacent to Hurricane that was available, the Conlabringa license. So they've now applied for that license, and I'm sure once that's through, then the company will be revisiting that at some point. But of course, the primary asset of interest in Queensland at the moment is the Lulworth project, and Lulworth has been the subject over the past year or so of intensive field work. Adam Jones and the team have been on the ground there, and there are some detailed maps that have been drawn from the work there, and indeed some really strong grades have been. These are gold grades, of course, have been pulled from the ground as the team have looked at the various creeks that run across the Lulworth Range area. Just a word on the actual location of Lulworth. It's sited some 120 kilometers to the west of the Charters Towers mine. It's a very famous region for gold mining. It has delivered numerous ounces of gold over the past year. We have Mount Wright, 1 million ounces of gold. Charters Towers, of course, mentioned 6.6 million ounces of gold. Mount Lation, 2.5 million ounces of gold, and Pajingo, also 2.7 million ounces of gold. So to the west of that, we have 3 license areas in the Lulworth Range, close to lots of historical mining works and exploration, also the Cape River alluvials. So Adam and the team have been on the ground there and established some very strong grades, typical grades coming out at 13, 15 grams per ton, some much higher. But importantly, they have identified a series of streams. So where the alluvial streams have run down from the hillside, they're finding nuggety gold on the valley floor there. And as we've gone through the tail end of this year, we've had grades back from assay results in the lab from the soil sampling. And what, of course, this is leading up to, it's the team have now been able to map the area. From that, a series of drill targets will be delineated, and of course, I've no doubt the team will attend to those next year. So that's a really strong development. But back in at the end of September, the company raised 580,000. They didn't go down the conventional route of going to a broker. Instead, they spoke. The management team, or the incoming management team, spoke to a series of high net worth and institutions and raised the money directly without any commission. And I think in this marketplace, that was a very smart move, because you've got endorsement of the value of ECR and its assets by high net worth and institutions directly. The share price wasn't smashed to pieces, as does sometimes happen in these events. And indeed, the share price is trading at 0.22p now, well above the level at which the money was raised. But significantly with that too, the entire board agreed to salary sacrifice. So in other words, they agreed not to take a salary or to take a nominal sum, and instead take their salary in shares. And that's just been agreed going forward. So what it means is that money that's been raised will go purely towards the work that the company was set up to do, which is, of course, explore for gold. So on the back of that, the company has a series of other assets. It has two drill rigs. It has the Midas drill rig, which, of course, went viral on social media a year or so, a few years ago, drilling into the company's key Victoria assets in Creswick and Baillieston, and also recently a Cortec drill arrived from China that the company had bought at a great discount, and that is at the company's Bendigo yards, awaiting commissioning, sale, or whatever may happen. The company also has or had three properties, two of which were sold. One was sold during early this year. That was the Nagambie Rushworth Road property, which is on the Baillieston, sited at Baillieston, close to the property, the Blue Moon property there. In addition to that, the company also owns 90% of a project, an advanced exploration project in the Philippines, the Dangley Gold Project. The company owns that through Cordillera Tiger Resources, which is a Philippines-based company, and this has a 43101 compliant resource, something like 45 to 50,000 tons of gold, possibly more. And of course, the company is currently looking at how best to extract value from the asset. So the new management team came in after the fundraise. The new management team included, of course, Nick Tulloch. Nick will be well known with other investors through his work, both as an investment banking expert with a long-standing pedigree, and also for his work as chief executive of Voyager Life, the CBD company. Nick came in, of course, with Mike Whitlow, who's well known in social media circles as Doc Holliday, and Mike has a great deal of experience himself. He runs many resource projects. He's worked on oil projects and has his own company set up to do that, and a very strong track record in that regard, and also a very astute investor seeking out and identifying companies with quality assets that he can bring some of his impetus to, and also bring his expertise to also. So the fact that these two guys have got involved with ECR at this level is great news, both for the company and also for shareholders. So what the team did, as soon as they arrived, they announced an asset evaluation, an asset overview and evaluation. So they've looked at Lulworth, how they can further develop the assets there. I mentioned, of course, Hurricane and Condaparinga already. There is also a conditional acquisition of the Blue Mountain project, which is close to the town of Gladstone, a little further southeast of the Lulworth project. Nothing has been done with that yet. The company are currently assessing what they're going to do there. But of course, the big news over the past week has been the move back to Victoria. So Nick and the team have decided that based on the data that was previously generated from Victoria, they would head back there. Also buoyed in part by news of successful drilling in the area from companies such as Southern Cross Gold, the ASX listed company. And Southern Cross Gold have an asset at the Sunday Creek project, which is to the south of the Baillieston project, and also sited to the east of the Creswick project. And they produce some spectacular results from drilling. 1,490 grams per ton of gold. They've got assays pending for a further 17 holes, and this, of course, propelled the share price significantly higher on the news. But some really good grades. They drilled some some 400 odd meters, and were pulling grades out of the ground, 62 grams per ton, 956.6 grams per ton. Just a really strong seam they'd located and identified. When Adam Jones and the team worked at Creswick a few years ago, Adam was did an interview from the Creswick campaign in the middle of the woods. It's a hilly wooded area, and he reported from there, and he described the type of mineralization that was found at the Creswick project. He described what he referred to as mineral chutes. So he said, you could take a section out of the ground, say 100 meters long by a meter wide. It would be full of mineral chutes of gold, and based on the findings in the area, that one piece could be worth, say, it could contain £1 million worth of gold. He said the nuggety nature of the gold extends all the way down through Creswick, and with the Creswick asset, there are 3 licenses which take the exploration area all the way down from the property the company still owns at 35 Springmount Lane in Creswick, all the way from there down to Ballarat. And of course, there is a famous gold mine at Ballarat, what's referred to as a narrow vein gold mine. So it's a deep underground mine, narrow vein. So the veiny nature of the Ballarat gold mine is the same as the stuff they've been pulling out of the ground at Creswick. And indeed, an interview that was put together last week by Proactive that included Nick Tulloch and Adam. They were discussing these assets. Adam was at an area called Cuboid Hill, where work is going to continue, and drilling work will now take place, and that will be taking place in the next couple of weeks, because the team believe that based on the soil sampling that they've undertaken, and this is all sited where the property is based at Springmount Lane, to the southeast of there, you have assets such as the Davy Road, South Davy Prospect, Courts Hill, Cuboid Hill, and others that have been identified. There are tons of historical workings around there. There's even an historical gold mine on the property at Springmount Lane. So Springmount Lane covers itself 16 acres, and there's an old adit on the property there where Adam's actually been in and taken samples from within the mine. So the team are going back. They're going to be drilling at Creswick, and there's a long-standing geological anomaly there called it's called the Dimmock's Main Shale, and this is a feature which extends all the way from literally where the property at Springmount is, through a series of reefs and gullies all the way down to the Ballarat gold mine. So it's a hugely exciting prospect, and I think certainly the team have been looking at this for some time. But of course, given the climate and the appetite for junior miners at present, it's been really difficult to justify committing the money to that. But I think the structure they've now got in place, or the structure Nick and Mike have put in place, the salary sacrifice scheme, we've got a company that's lean and mean, and also has, if it needs to, the ability to sell some of the assets it has. I mentioned the Dangler Gold project. That asset could be sold or joint venture with another company. There are 2 rigs there. They could rent those rigs out. They could sell those rigs, generate money from there. And of course, if they needed to, they could sell the property at Springmount Lane, and that would be worth probably getting on for half to $750,000 Australian dollars. So they have the ability to generate further cash from sales without any further dilution. And I think you've got to look at this in the context of the company's market capitalization. You look at Southern Cross Gold, where the valuation of that company is now in comparison. You look at other companies too. Falcon Metals, for instance, they have just restarted their exploration campaign. They have assets north of Bendigo. And then, of course, you have the eponymous Fosterville gold mine owned by Kirkland Lake Gold that is churning out many thousands of ounces of gold each year, and many other sort of works in the area and exploration campaigns being undertaken in the area as we speak. So I think, in summary, if you want to understand where ECR is right now, the company announcement of the asset overview and evaluation gives you a very good summary of the company assets, royalty assets, and properties that it could sell. It also has 2 royalty assets too. I'm just going to finish off with these. It sold some licenses it had previously. The Avoca, Mournbull, and Timor gold projects were sold to Fosterville South Exploration. That's a TSX listed company, and that Fosterville then in itself spun out the Avoca and Timor projects to Leviathan Gold. It immediately received a payment of $500,000 for that, and has the right to receive $2 million in payments, subject to any future resource estimates or production from those projects. Additionally, ECR has a loyalty agreement with the SLM Gold Project in La Rioja province in Argentina, and it can potentially receive up to $2.7 million in aggregate across all of those licenses. So in summary, ECR has a great deal of nascent value within its assets. That's both within the plant it could sell, the property it could sell, other gold licenses, and then of course the X factor, which is the drilling campaign that the company is about to conduct in Kresik, at Kresik. And I think with a 3.3 million market capitalization, if you look at peer group companies, I don't think any of those peer group companies will have the assets already in its ownership that ECR has. So I think we're set for a very exciting few weeks with ECR. And of course, we mentioned Mines of Money, Mark. Both Mike and Nick will be at Mines of Money. So if you want to meet with them and talk to them about the assets, then you can do so by emailing info@ecrminerals.com.
Excellent. Well, I'd encourage people to do that. It's always a nice point, exciting point when a mining company gets drilling. Is that imminent, Alan?
It is, yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, they said there, so the return to Victoria, they will be drilling at Victoria. That'll be Kresik, of course, back before the end of the year. So that's
and what's their objective on this drilling, apart from the obvious, making a discovery?
The point is that I think there's so much interest from other explorers in the region, and obviously that spectacular success from Southern Cross Gold, and every time they've gone to Kresik and Bailiston to a lesser degree, they discover gold. And I think a lot of field work was done across the projects, the Spring Mountain Lane project, particularly at Kresik. Of course, that's the base of operation where they have a lot of plants sited, as well as, of course, at the logging sheds in Bendigo. But just to the southwest of that property, it's ground that they can access easily, and they've got the license areas that run all the way down to Ballarat. And also, of course, to the east, or the northeast of Ballarat, you've got the Eastern Arena goldfields. The license areas overlap with those too. So they've got so much to go at. So the team will be on the ground there, led of course by Adam Jones, and we should have some news of that drilling very shortly.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, Alan, for talking to us there about ONDO, InsurTech, and ECR Minerals.
Thank you, Mark.
If you enjoyed this interview, then give us a thumbs up, a like, or a retweet. Subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Twitter, and hit that notification bell to be the first to know when we release new content. There's loads of great content on our website too, across all our programs at stopboxmedia.com. Thank you for watching.